All right. Let me show you something. Boom, 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 boom. Show you something. I just love the way this. You gotta hear the. You have to hear this song. Oh, by the way, John Fibonojji here. You gotta hear this. The way this intro comes in. I love this. Okay, here we go. Start all over. Boom, 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 boom. That's what we're talking about. Out of my distress, I called upon the Lord. The Lord answered me. Boom, boom. There, the Lord is on my side. It takes my part. Nigga, holla. It's among those who help me. It's a middle chapter, middle verse, baby. It is better to trust and take refuge in the Lord than to put confidence in man. There's not a human alive that, dude, that can't say, like, it is better to trust and take refuge in the Lord than to put confidence in man. I mean, just think of the people you've trusted. Dude, boom. I know, check this out, boom. Okay, look at that bus, dude. We gotta talk about trust issues. That bus, as much as I hate green, dude, this is the best. Okay, and then notice like the different little, the tree to the right, tree to the left. You got 2 in the front, maybe 3 in the front. Then you got a bus. You got some distance between me. Here we go, boom, check it out. We got, ooh, did you see that? Money, holla, bitch. Money. Boom, 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 boom. Boom. I'm gonna try to explain a lot of different things to you. I'm going to encapsulate. I'm going to talk about fractals, baby. Jesus not got enough fractals. Yeah, he does, dude. Jesus got lots of fractals. All right, I'm going to kind of fractalize, gospelize, encapsulize a lot of things. I'm going to encapsulize, I guess you can call it the Job story, the story of Israel as they move out of the Old Testament. I could talk about personal development. You might just have a goal. You might just literally have, the need to succeed in something. We could talk about success. I could be all Tony Robbins. We could talk about spiritual development, evolution. I mean, it goes by so many things, but this is what it looks like. And if you're like me, dude, sometimes you need some, see that? Okay, so here I am. I'm in Psalms 117, 118. Just read Psalms 118. It says, out of my distress, I called upon the Lord. He answered me. And I like how he says, out of my distress, I called upon the Lord. The Lord answered me and set me free in a large place. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. Sometimes those are just declarations, So here we go. Where do we go from here? And okay, there's a lot of things going on, dude. You got a bus. You got some narrative about some Jesus, some spiritual developments. You're calling it success. You might not like Jesus. You might not like the Bible. You might like money. You might, we all worship something. And for a human to say that they don't worship something, that's just inherently dishonest. We all worship something. For most people, it's of this world, it's wealth and power. Wealth and power. And then for those who are more spiritual, or people who have a desire for something beyond this realm, we are looking for a higher power that goes by many different names. From Hashem, Jehovah, Adonai, El Shaddai, Emmanuel, Yahweh. Everybody has a God. And I think the first step is admitting that we have a God. Or let's go back to this. I'm sitting here just kind of having my own little morning meditation. And I'm looking at this and I realize, if I look at the space between my truck and that bus, you'll see that there's certain places that I could jump to. There's 1, 2, 3 there. And then there's the bus. And then what if everything between us, what if the space between us represented lava? How would you get there? Well, you'd go 1, 2, 3. Or maybe you would just try to jump in one giant leap. But wherever you're at, you're starting here in Psalms 118, and you're going to get to the bus. So how do you get there? Well, okay, John Livingston Seagull, by the way. On one level, you can say, well, you can break it down and say, well, what I'll do is I would jump here, and then I would try to jump there, and then I would try to jump there. But eventually, the space between, you wouldn't make it, so you would die. And some people wouldn't even begin. I mean, just the sheer fear, the sheer of making a move, the sheer, maybe it's, however you want to look at it. For some people, it's the sheer, it could be just simply a budget issue. Maybe you're trying to go from one thing to the next, and it's a sheer budget thing. You can play with the metaphor, the visual metaphor, any way you want. It could be, what it really comes down to is it comes down to trust. And that at some point, trust is simply knowing that you're going to make it. And taking that leap. And knowing that at this point, you don't know how you're going to get there, but you know how you're going to get here. And then what happens with trust, and what happens with faith, and what happens with grace, and what happens in the story of Exodus, and what happens when you grow a business, or what happens is you take it in stages. And when you get to the first stage, something will happen that will get you to the second stage. And then something else will happen that will get you to the next stage. And then the something else will happen that will get you to the final stage. And trust is simply believing in the higher power to bring that something else. Something else. For most people, we never take that first leap. Because let me tell you about this thing right here. This is what it looks like, but in real life, there's fog beyond anything beyond the first stage. See, in real life, it looks like this. Let's pretend it's not a bus. Pretend it's like just a desire you have, or a dream you have, or a goal you have, or maybe just the Bible says in Psalms 37, a secret delight that you would love to have happen. What happens is you see the end result, but you don't know that the stages are there, or where they're there, or where they're at, rather. And what happens is because you can't see the whole show, you don't take that first step and trust that something else is going to take you to the second step. You're literally jumping into the dark. And there's two things that humans are inherently afraid of. And what I mean by inherently, there are only two fears that human beings come to the earth with. Number one is the fear of loud noises, and B, the fear of falling. Every fear beyond the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling, those are inherited by our families, by our environments, by our culture. And I think it's interesting that the inherent fear that humans have, the fear of falling, is the same exact fear that we have to overcome to get to the first stage. And then the next fear is to believe that something else is going to take us to the second stage that we don't even know where it's at. In this example, it's on the left. But maybe in real life, that second stage might be 1 year for you. Maybe that space for some people might be 1 week. Maybe, you know, again, look at the story of Exodus. I mean, a lot of this stuff does not happen overnight. Sometimes those second stages can take, you know, when I built my company, it took me about 3 years to get to the first phase, and then it took me another 2 years to get to the second phase. And then because I didn't manage my personal inventory, my own spiritual life very well, I wasn't connected to the higher power, I wasn't living a life of meditation, I stayed on second base on my company. I stayed on second base. And the goals that I really had for that company at this point haven't materialized because I didn't manage my second base very well. I was too busy just caught up in the day-to-day life that I wasn't thinking about the vision. I got caught in the weeds, if you will. So this video is for anyone who really just struggles with trust and struggles with what does the spiritual path look like? And what does trust look like? And you know, to break it down visually like this is something that I wish I would have had. And so, yeah, I'm going to kind of come in here with some, you know, maybe some interesting music, maybe some good music, maybe some bad music, I don't know. But the one thing is my heart is I want to bless and I want to show people what the spiritual path looks like. So here's some questions. It all starts with desire. So what do you want? And what's that first jump that you need to make? Boom, boom, boom. And then remember, we got to trust that something else is going to take us to the second base. We got to be careful with the second base, dude, because we can get caught in the weeds. Boom, boom, boom. Remember, it's like walking a bridge in the fog, taking steps. That's what faith looks like. And man, when you're looking at the picture and it's all pretty and the sun's out and the beautiful John Livingston seagulls are there, man, that faith looks easy. But man, what happens when you're jumping in the fog and it's dark, dark? Boom, 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 boom. This is what you do. The Lord is on my side. Out of my distress, I called upon the Lord. The Lord answered me and set me free in a large place. You did good. Email me, Americana417@gmail.com. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom.